Good evening. My name is Jim Hollister, a park ranger here at Minuteman National Historical Park. Tomorrow is April 19th, the 245th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord. Patriots' Day, as the holiday is known here in Massachusetts, has been celebrated for centuries with patriotic speeches, parades, ceremonies, and battle reenactments. However, to those who lived through the events of April 19th, 1775, it must have been a somber anniversary, perhaps bringing to mind the last day they saw a beloved father, son, husband, or brother. But tinged with pride, knowing that from their personal loss, a new nation was born. Tonight, in the video that follows, we shall reflect upon the cost of war as volunteers read the names of those who fell on the ever-memorable 19th of April.
I, Hannah Layton of Acton, testify that Isaac Davis, who was killed in the Concord fight in 1775, was my husband. He was then 30 years of age. We had 4 children. The alarm was given early in the morning, and my husband lost no time in making ready to go to Concord with his company. A considerable number of them came to the house and made their cartridges there. The sun was from 1 to 2 hours high when they left for Concord. My husband said little that morning. He seemed serious and thoughtful, but never seemed to hesitate as to the course of his duty. As he led the company from the house, he turned himself round and seemed to have something to say. He only said, "Take good care of the children," and was soon out of sight. In the afternoon, he was brought home a corpse. He was placed in my bedroom until the funeral. His countenance was pleasant and seemed but little altered. The bodies of Abner Hosmer, one of the company, and of James Hayward, one of the militia company, who was killed in Lexington in the afternoon, were brought by their friends to the house, and the funeral of all 3 was attended together.
The news reached us about 9:00 a.m. The East Company in Needham met at my house as part of the military stores were deposited with me. They there supplied themselves, and by 10 o'clock all marched for the place of action with as much spirit and resolution as the most zealous friends of the cause could have wished for. We could easily trace the march of the troops from the smoke which arose over them, and could hear from my house the report of the cannon and the platoons fired by the British. The Needham Company was soon on the ground, but unhappily being ignorant of what are called flank guards, they inserted themselves between them and the main body of the British troops, in consequence of which they suffered more severely than their neighbors who kept to a greater distance. In the evening we had intelligence that several of the Needham inhabitants were among the slain, and the next morning it was confirmed that 5 had fallen in the action and several others had been wounded. It is remarkable that the 5 who fell, all of them had families, and several of them very numerous families, so that there were about 40 widows and fatherless children made in consequence of their death. I visited these families immediately, and with a sympathetic sense of their affliction, I gave to some the first intelligence they had of the dreadful event, the death of a husband and a parent. The very different manner in which the tidings were received discovered the very different disposition of the sufferers. While some were almost frantic in their grief, others received the news with profound silence, as if in a consternation of grief they were incapable of shedding tears or uttering sighs or groans.
Lexington lost 10 men on April 19, 1775. Those 10 men were John Brown, Samuel Hadley, Caleb Harrington, Jonathan Harrington, Jonas Parker, Robert Monroe, Isaac Muzzy, Jedediah Monroe, Nathaniel Wyman, and John Raymond.
From Acton, Captain Isaac Davis. Abner Hosmer, James Hayward. From Sudbury, Deacon Josiah Haynes, Asa Hale Reed, Thomas Ben. From Bedford, Captain Jonathan Wilson.
From Brookline, Isaac Gardner. From Woburn, Daniel Thompson and non-combatant Azahel Porter.
Monotony, current-day Arlington, John Hicks, William Marcy, Moses Richardson, Jason Russell, Jason Winship, Jabez Wyman.
From Danvers, Samuel Cook, Benjamin DeLand, Ebenezer Goldthwait, Henry Jacobs, Pearlie Putnam, George Southwick, Jotham Webb.
From Beverly, Reuben Kennison. From Lynn, William Flint, Thomas Hadley, Abineo Ramsdell, Daniel Townsend. From Salem, Benjamin Pierce.
From Charlestown, Edward Barber, James Miller. From Dedham, Elias Haven. From Medford, Henry Putnam, William Pauley. From Watertown, Joseph Coolidge.
From Needham, John Bacon, Nathaniel Chamberlain, Amos Mills, Elisha Mills, Jonathan Parker.
And the British dead, killed or died of their wounds on April 19th of 1775. Lieutenant Joseph Knight, Lieutenant Edward Hull, Privates John Titmus, Thomas Smith, Patrick Gray, James Davis, John Buchanan, Thomas Maud, Samuel Cotton, James Wormley, John Maidenant, William Dalhunty, Patrick Hackett, David Dean, William Babcock, Patrick Cunningham, Daniel Brown, and additionally 56 killed and 26 missing, their names unknown to us.